Every morning before you touch your phone, before the noise enters your mind, before the world starts demanding things from you, something already speaks inside you. Your inner voice. For most people, that voice is rushed, anxious, or defeated. It reminds them of pressure, fear, and everything they feel behind on. And then they wonder why their days feel heavy, their faith feels distant, and their hearts feel tired. But here is the truth: most people never learn. Your life is not shaped first by what happens to you. It is shaped by what you tell yourself when the day begins. Islam does not teach random motivation. It teaches alignment. It teaches alignment. It teaches that the heart must be oriented before the body moves, and the soul must be anchored before the world is faced. Today you will learn the words to say to yourself every morning. Not as slogans, not as wishful thinking, but as reminders that quietly rebuild discipline, restore perspective, and strengthen your connection with Allah. These words will not make life easy. They will make it clear. And clarity changes everything. When you wake up by permission, not accident. The first words you must say every morning are simple, but they carry weight if you actually understand them. Allah allowed me to wake up today. Most people think waking up is automatic. They believe it happens because the alarm rang, because they slept early, because their body is healthy, or because their body is healthy, or because their body is healthy, or because their body is already guaranteed. That belief is wrong. None of those things promise another morning. They are tools, not causes. Every single night, people go to sleep with plans, responsibilities, unfinished conversations, and goals they fully expect to continue the next day, and yet many of them never wake up. Their alarm rings for no one. Their schedule becomes irrelevant. Their health the night before does not save them. This reality is uncomfortable, but it is also clarifying. You woke up because permission was given. When you begin your day with this understanding, it immediately corrects a dangerous mindset: entitlement. Entitlement is when you assume tomorrow belongs to you. It is when you rush through life as if time owes you something. That attitude slowly kills gratitude and replaces it with complaint. But when you remind yourself that waking up was allowed, not guaranteed, arrogance loses its grip and humility returns naturally. This awareness changes how you move through the day. You stop treating hours casually. You stop postponing important things without thought. You become more intentional, because you understand that this day is not owned, it is entrusted. That is why this sentence quietly kills laziness. Laziness thrives when time feels unlimited. When you believe you can always do better tomorrow, you waste today without guilt. But when you understand that waking up itself was a mercy, wasting the day feels different. It no longer feels harmless. It feels like neglecting a gift. Gratitude does not always show itself through excitement or emotion. Sometimes it shows itself through responsibility, through effort, through deciding to show up properly, even when motivation is low. When you begin the day knowing it was granted to you, you naturally want to honor it. This does not mean pressure or fear. It means awareness. You move through the morning more calmly, not rushing as if you own the hours, but stepping into them with respect. You stop saying "I have to get through today" and start thinking "I was trusted with today." Say the words slowly, without rushing and without treating them as a slogan. Let them settle before you touch your phone or speak to anyone else. Say them until they feel real, not dramatic. Allah allowed me to wake up today. When this becomes your first thought in the morning, your entire day stands on a different foundation. 2. You are a servant before you are a struggler. The second sentence you must say every morning is this: I belong to Allah before I belong to my problems. Most people wake up and immediately attach their identity to whatever is weighing on them. They wake up as someone who is stressed, overwhelmed, behind in life, disappointed, or afraid. Before they even get out of bed, their heart has already submitted to pressure instead of purpose. This is a mistake, because problems are temporary, but your relationship with Allah is permanent. When you forget who you belong to, your struggles start defining you. You begin to see yourself only through what is going wrong. Your faith becomes something you practice on the side, instead of the foundation you stand on. Slowly, without realizing it, stress becomes your master and worry becomes your default state. Saying "I belong to Allah before I belong to my problems" corrects this imbalance. It reminds you that before you are tired, you are a servant. Before you are confused, you are guided. Before you are tested, you are held. Your struggles are real, but they are not your identity. They are circumstances you are passing through, not the owner of your soul. This sentence shifts your mindset from victimhood to responsibility without cruelty. You stop asking, "Why is my life so hard?" and start asking, "How does Allah want me to respond to this?" That question alone changes how you carry difficulty. Instead of collapsing under pressure, you begin to look for wisdom, patience, and growth inside it. Belonging to Allah means you are never dealing with life alone. It means your struggles are seen, measured, and limited. Nothing you face is random, and nothing you carry is meaningless. Even hardship becomes purposeful when you understand who you belong to. This awareness also protects you from desperation. When people forget Allah, they start clinging to people, outcomes, or control. They panic when things do not go their way. They fear loss excessively. But when you begin your day reminding yourself that you belong to Allah, not to your circumstances, fear loses its dominance. You understand that whatever is taken was never truly yours, and whatever remains is still under divine care. This does not remove effort. You still work, strive, and try your best, but your heart is no longer enslaved by results. You act responsibly without being crushed by anxiety. Say this sentence every morning until it becomes your inner posture, not just words. Say it before you replay yesterday's problems in your mind. Say it before you imagine worst-case scenarios. Say it until you remember that your worth is not measured by how smooth your life feels, but by who you submit to through it. I belong to Allah before I belong to my problems. When this truth settles into your heart, your struggles become lighter, not because they disappear, but because they no longer define you. 3. Your intention decides the weight of your day. The third sentence you must say every morning is this: Ya Allah, today I live for you. These words are simple, but they confront one of the biggest problems of modern life: living on autopilot. Most people wake up and immediately start reacting. They react to alarms, messages, responsibilities, pressure, and expectations. The day begins without direction, and by the time they stop to think, the day is already controlling them. Islam teaches something different. Islam teaches that actions are not measured only by what they look like on the outside, but by what drives them on the inside. Intention is not decoration, it is the engine. Without intention, even good actions can become empty habits. With intention, even ordinary actions become worship. When you say, Ya Allah, today I live for you, you are choosing direction before distraction. You are deciding who the day belongs to before it starts making demands. This sentence is not about perfection or intensity, it is about alignment. Most people believe they will focus on Allah once life becomes calmer. They tell themselves they will be more sincere when stress reduces, when money improves, when time opens up. That mindset is backwards. Life never becomes calm first. Intention comes first, and calm follows gradually. Living for Allah does not mean you abandon responsibilities or withdraw from the world. It means you reframe them. Work is no longer just work, it becomes a means of earning halal, providing stability and avoiding dependence. Studying is no longer just pressure, it becomes a trust to use knowledge responsibly. Patience is no longer weakness, it becomes obedience. This is what intention does. It changes the meaning of effort. Without intention, a person may pray but still feel empty. They may work hard but feel resentful. They may serve others but feel unappreciated. With intention, the same actions feel lighter because they are no longer dependent on outcomes or recognition. They are anchored to Allah. Saying Ya Allah, today I live for you also protects you from hypocrisy toward yourself. It forces honesty. When you say these words, you become more aware of contradictions. You notice when your actions drift away from what you declared in the morning. That awareness is not meant to shame you. It is meant to guide you back gently throughout the day. Intention does not mean you will not fail. It means when you fail, you return quicker. You correct faster. You do not justify wrong behavior by saying everyone does it or this is just how life is. You remember who you said you were living for, and that memory keeps pulling you back into alignment. This sentence also protects you from exhaustion. Many people burn out not because they do too much, but because they do too much without meaning. They carry responsibilities with no spiritual anchor. Over time, effort without purpose becomes heavy. But when effort is connected to Allah, it gains endurance. Living for Allah does not mean every moment feels spiritual. Some moments will feel boring, difficult, or draining. Intention does not change emotions instantly. It changes direction consistently. Over time, that consistency reshapes the heart. Another powerful effect of this sentence is that it removes the constant need for validation. When you live for people, their reactions control you. Praise lifts you unnaturally high, and criticism crushes you deeply. But when you live for Allah, feedback becomes information, not identity. You can accept correction without collapsing, and succeed without arrogance. This sentence also disciplines the ego. The ego wants attention, recognition, and control. Intention reminds it that not everything is about being seen. Some of the most valuable deeds are unseen. Some of the most meaningful struggles are private. When you live for Allah, secrecy becomes strength instead of loss. It is important to understand that intention is not a one-time declaration. It is something you renew. That is why this sentence belongs in the morning. The heart forgets quickly. Distractions pile up. Desires interfere. Renewing intention daily is maintenance, not weakness. Say these words before you reach for your phone, before your mind fills with comparison, news, or noise. Let them be the first thing that shapes your inner state, even if the rest of the day does not go as planned. This intention gives you a reference point to return to. Say it calmly without exaggeration and without turning it into a performance. You do not need to feel emotional. You need to be honest. Even if your heart feels weak, say it sincerely. Intention grows through repetition, not intensity. Ya Allah, today I live for you. When this becomes part of your morning, your life does not suddenly become easy, but it becomes coherent. Your actions begin to point in the same direction. And a life with direction, even through hardship, is far lighter than a life without it. 4. You are responsible for effort, not outcomes. The fourth sentence you must say every morning is this: my responsibility is effort. The outcome belongs to Allah. This sentence directly confronts one of the greatest sources of anxiety in modern life, the illusion of control. Most people exhaust themselves not because they work hard, but because they try to control things they were never meant to carry. They try to control results, people's reactions, timing, success, and approval. When those things do not go as planned, they feel defeated, angry, or hopeless. Islam offers a clearer and far more merciful framework. You are accountable for effort, sincerity, and intention. You are not accountable for how everything turns out. When you forget this distinction, life becomes unbearably heavy. You begin to measure your worth by outcomes. If you succeed, you feel temporarily confident. If you fail, you feel crushed. Your emotional state becomes unstable because it is tied to things outside your control. Saying my responsibility is effort, the outcome belongs to Allah, releases you from this trap. Effort is something you can control. You can choose to show up honestly. You can choose to prepare, to try again, to be patient, and to act with integrity. Outcomes, however, depend on countless factors you cannot see or manage. When you confuse the two, you either become arrogant in success or broken by failure. This sentence restores balance. It teaches you to take responsibility without carrying arrogance and to face setbacks without despair. You stop blaming yourself for things that were never yours to command. At the same time, you stop making excuses for effort you avoided. This is not passivity, it is clarity. Many people misunderstand reliance on Allah and turn it into laziness. They say, if Allah wants it, it will happen, and then they do nothing. That is not trust, that is avoidance. True reliance requires effort first, then surrender. This sentence holds both together. When you remind yourself of this truth every morning, fear begins to lose its power. Fear thrives when you believe everything depends on you. The pressure to get it right, to never fail, and to constantly prove yourself slowly suffocates the heart. But when you remember that outcomes belong to Allah, you can act with courage instead of panic. This also protects you from obsession. Many people replay their mistakes endlessly, wondering what they could have done differently. Reflection is healthy, but obsession is not. When you understand that Allah controls results, you learn when to reflect and when to release. You take lessons without carrying self-punishment. This sentence also reshapes how you deal with people. You stop trying to control how others see you. You speak truthfully without manipulation. You set boundaries without guilt. You do what is right even when it is not rewarded immediately. When outcomes are no longer your responsibility, integrity becomes easier. Another powerful effect of this mindset is patience. When you believe outcomes belong to Allah, delays no longer feel like rejection. They feel like timing. You stop rushing what is not ready and forcing doors that are closed. You work steadily, trusting that what is meant for you will arrive when it is meant to arrive. This does not mean you stop caring about results. It means results stop owning you. You still strive for excellence. You still aim high, but your inner peace is no longer hostage to success or failure. You become emotionally steady because your foundation is obedience, not achievement. Many believers struggle with guilt when things do not work out. They assume that failure means Allah is displeased with them. This assumption is dangerous and incorrect. Some of the most beloved servants of Allah faced repeated hardship, rejection, and delay. Outcomes are not always a measure of acceptance. Sometimes they are a form of training. By saying this sentence every morning, you remind yourself that Allah's wisdom is broader than your understanding. You accept that not everything that feels good is good for you, and not everything that feels difficult is bad for you. This belief strengthens patience and protects faith during trials. This mindset also reduces envy. When you stop believing that outcomes are purely earned, you stop resenting others for what they have. You understand that provision is distributed with wisdom, not fairness as humans define it. You focus on your own effort instead of comparing results. Say this sentence calmly, without turning it into a coping phrase. It is not meant to numb ambition, it is meant to purify it. You still work hard, but you work with trust instead of fear. Say it when you feel overwhelmed. Say it when you are afraid of failing. Say it when things go well. So success does not make you forget humility. My responsibility is effort. The outcome belongs to Allah. When this truth settles into your heart, you will notice something subtle but powerful. You will still strive, but you will no longer panic. You will still care, but you will no longer collapse. And that emotional stability is one of the greatest strengths a believer can carry through life. 5. Your tongue and heart need daily protection. The 5th sentence you must say every morning is this: Ya Allah, guard my tongue and purify my heart today. Most people underestimate how much damage happens through words and thoughts. They think major sins only come from big actions. But in reality, many spiritual collapses begin with something far smaller: a careless sentence, a bitter thought, a reaction spoken too quickly, a judgment held quietly in the heart. The tongue is dangerous because it moves faster than reflection. The heart is dangerous because it holds intentions people never see. If either one is left unchecked, they slowly poison your character without you noticing. When you wake up and ask Allah to guard your tongue, you are admitting something important: that self-control alone is not enough. You are recognizing that restraint is a form of help from Allah, not just personal discipline. This humility is powerful because it keeps you alert instead of overconfident. Guarding the tongue does not only mean avoiding obvious sins like lying or backbiting, it also means protecting yourself from subtle harm. Sarcasm that humiliates, complaints that harden the heart, words spoken out of ego instead of truth. Even silence, when used to punish or manipulate, can damage the soul. By asking Allah to guard your tongue, you become more aware before you speak. You pause instead of reacting. You choose restraint instead of release. Over time, this awareness changes how people experience you. Your presence becomes calmer. Your words become safer. Your silence becomes wiser. Purifying the heart is even more important because the heart is where intentions live. A person can appear religious while carrying envy, resentment, pride, or arrogance inside. These diseases quietly ruin sincerity. They drain the sweetness from worship and replace it with heaviness. When you ask Allah to purify your heart every morning, you are not claiming purity. You are admitting weakness. You are acknowledging that the heart is influenced by what it sees, hears, and desires. Without daily cleansing, it accumulates dirt just like anything else exposed to the world. A heart that is not purified becomes reactive. It takes offense quickly. It holds grudges easily. It assumes the worst about people. These reactions may feel justified, but they slowly corrode peace. Over time, they create emotional exhaustion that no amount of worship seems to fix. This morning's sentence addresses the root instead of the symptom. When Allah purifies your heart, He softens it without making it weak. You still recognize wrong, but you do not become bitter. You still set boundaries, but you do not become cruel. You still defend truth, but you do not need to humiliate others to do it. This sentence also protects your worship. Many people pray regularly yet feel disconnected. Often the issue is not lack of prayer, but a heart weighed down by unresolved resentment, jealousy, or arrogance. Asking Allah daily to purify the heart removes obstacles that block sincerity. Another powerful effect of this sentence is that it improves relationships. Many conflicts are not caused by major betrayals, but by repeated small injuries. Sharp words, poor assumptions, defensive reactions. When your tongue is guarded and your heart is purified, conflicts lose fuel. Misunderstandings are handled with maturity instead of escalation. This does not mean you become passive or silent in the face of wrongdoing. It means you speak with intention instead of impulse. You correct without insulting. You disagree without demeaning. That balance is rare, and it comes from internal discipline, not personality. Say this sentence every morning knowing that you will be tested on it the same day. Someone will annoy you. Something will trigger you. A situation will invite a careless word. That is not coincidence. That is training. When the test comes, remember what you asked for in the morning. Pause. Breathe. Choose restraint. Even if you fail sometimes, the act of asking keeps you accountable and returning. Say the sentence slowly and sincerely. Do not rush it. Do not treat it as a routine phrase. Let it be a request you actually need. Ya Allah, guard my tongue and purify my heart today. When this becomes part of your morning, you will notice a quiet transformation. Fewer regrets over words spoken, less heaviness in the chest, more clarity in intention. This is not dramatic change, it is sustainable growth, and sustainable growth is what lasts. 6. You are not walking through this day alone. The sixth sentence you must say every morning is this: Allah is with me today, even if it feels heavy. This sentence is necessary because feelings often lie. There will be days when your chest feels tight for no clear reason. Days when motivation disappears. Days when worship feels dry and effort feels forced. When that happens, many people assume something is wrong with their faith or that they have been abandoned. That assumption is false. Allah's presence is not measured by how you feel. It is measured by truth, not emotion. If presence were dependent on emotional strength, faith would collapse every time exhaustion appears. This sentence corrects that misunderstanding. Most people equate feeling supported with being supported. When they feel alone, they assume they are alone, but loneliness is an emotional state, not a spiritual reality. You can feel isolated and still be fully under Allah's care. You can feel isolated and still be fully under Allah's care. You can feel weak and still be guided. Saying Allah is with me today, even if it feels heavy, reminds you that hardship does not equal abandonment. Difficulty does not mean distance. Silence does not mean rejection. Often Allah is closest to a person during moments when comfort disappears and reliance becomes real. This sentence is especially important because life does not slow down for spiritual weakness. Responsibilities continue. Tests appear unexpectedly. Pressure increases without warning. On those days, the mind begins to panic, and the heart begins to question. You wonder how you are supposed to keep going when you feel depleted. This is where this morning sentence matters. When you remind yourself that Allah is with you, you stop trying to carry everything alone. You still act responsibly, but you release the illusion that strength must come only from you. You begin to lean inwardly on Allah instead of mentally collapsing under the weight of expectation. Allah's companionship does not remove effort, it strengthens it. It does not eliminate difficulty, it gives meaning to endurance. Knowing that Allah sees your struggle changes how you experience it. Pain without meaning breaks people. Pain with meaning builds them. This sentence also protects you from despair. Despair grows when people believe their situation will never change. They feel trapped in a permanent state of struggle. But when you believe Allah is with you, you understand that no moment is static. Everything moves by His command. Relief may not come today, but it will come when it is meant to. Another powerful effect of this sentence is that it calms the nervous system. Much anxiety comes from feeling unsupported. When you genuinely internalize that Allah is with you, the body relaxes, the heart slows, the mind becomes clearer. You stop reacting and start responding. This belief also protects you from seeking validation in unhealthy places. When people feel alone, they cling. They overshare. They accept disrespect just to feel seen. Remembering Allah's presence gives you emotional dignity. You no longer beg for reassurance, because you are already accompanied. This sentence is not denial. It does not mean you ignore pain or pretend everything is fine. It means you acknowledge heaviness without surrendering to hopelessness. You say, "This is difficult, but I am not abandoned inside it." That mindset creates resilience. Say this sentence especially on days when faith feels quiet. Do not wait to feel strong before saying it. Say it when strength is absent. That is when it matters most. Say it when prayers feel routine. Say it when your heart feels distracted. Say it when effort feels unseen. Allah's awareness does not depend on your awareness of Him. He is present even when you are struggling to feel present with Him. Allah is with me today, even if it feels heavy. When this truth settles in the heart, endurance becomes possible. You still get tired, but you do not give up. You still feel pressure, but you do not collapse. And over time, you realize that what carried you through was not emotional strength, but divine companionship. 7. Today is a trust, not a guarantee. The seventh sentence you must say every morning is this: Ya Allah, let me leave this day better than I entered it. This sentence corrects one of the most dangerous assumptions people live with, that there will always be more time. Most people plan their lives as if improvement can always be delayed. They assume repentance can wait, character can be refined later, and purpose can be pursued when circumstances improve. This assumption quietly empties days of meaning. Islam teaches something far more grounding. You are not promised longevity. You are only given the present moment. Today is not a continuation of yesterday by right. It is a new trust handed to you without explanation. When you remind yourself of this every morning, you stop living casually, not fearfully, but consciously. You understand that the goal of the day is not perfection, but direction. You are not asked to transform your entire life in one day. You are asked to honor the day you were given. This sentence also protects you from despair and overwhelm. Many people think growth requires dramatic change, and when they cannot sustain it, they give up completely. But when your goal is simply to leave the day better than you entered it, progress becomes realistic and sustainable. Better does not mean flawless. It means more aware, more restrained, more sincere. One resisted sin, one act of patience, one moment of restraint when anger wanted release. These small improvements matter more than dramatic intentions that never last. This mindset also keeps you accountable without cruelty. Instead of replaying your failures endlessly, you reflect constructively. You ask yourself what improved today and what needs work tomorrow. You stop judging yourself as a whole and start correcting specific behaviors. That distinction is crucial for long-term growth. Seeing the day as a trust also changes how you handle opportunities. When something good appears, you appreciate it without clinging. When something difficult appears, you endure it without resentment. You understand that both ease and hardship are part of what the day was entrusted with. This sentence also reduces regret. Many people live with heavy regret, not because they made mistakes, but because they ignored awareness when it was available. When you start each day with the intention to leave it better, you catch yourself earlier. You correct sooner. You do not let small slips turn into major losses. Another powerful effect of this mindset is that it builds consistency. Consistency is not built through intensity. It is built through daily intention. When you approach each day as its own responsibility, you stop making promises you cannot keep and start making efforts you can sustain. This sentence also prepares you for the reality of death without obsession. Remembering that today is not guaranteed does not make you fearful. It makes you present. It encourages sincerity over performance and effort over appearance. You become more honest in your worship and more deliberate in your actions. Say this sentence without pressure. It is not a demand, it is a request. You are asking Allah to help you improve, not declaring that you will never fail. That humility is what keeps the heart open. Say it at the start of the day and let it quietly guide your choices. When temptation appears, remember it. When laziness whispers, remember it. When anger rises, remember it. Let it be a compass, not a weight. Ya Allah, let me leave this day better than I entered it. When this truth becomes part of your morning, you stop chasing dramatic change and start building real transformation, and real transformation, built slowly and sincerely, is what lasts. If you remember nothing else from this reminder, remember this. Change does not begin with dramatic decisions. It begins with daily alignment. What you repeat becomes belief. What you believe becomes behavior. And what you practice consistently becomes who you are. These words are not meant to be recited once and forgotten. They are meant to shape your mornings, and through them shape your days. You will not apply them perfectly. Some days you will forget. Some days you will struggle. That does not cancel their power. Return to them anyway. Say them before the phone. Say them before the noise. Say them before the world claims your attention. Because the strongest people are not those with easy lives. They are the ones who begin their days grounded, intentional, and aware of who they belong to. Start tomorrow morning, quietly, sincerely, and let Allah do the rest.